of Lesser and Company, expert in county finances and financial sustainability, very knowledgeable about Nassau County, and he will give you some of his analytical work. Brian?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Martin. I'm from Robert Charles Lesser. We're a national consulting firm. My office is down in Orlando, Florida. We have offices also in Austin, LA, and DC. And we work a lot with private industry and also the public industry as well. We do a lot of market feasibility studies, a lot of financial feasibility studies, performers for large-scale residential and commercial developments. And we work a lot with fiscal and economic impact analysis, which is pretty much what we're here to talk about tonight. We were asked by citizens from Nassau County to do a little study on fiscal sustainability in Nassau County. So just quickly to kind of show you what we did and also what we learned. What we did was analyze the current tax structure for Nassau County budget and other counties. We need to look at other counties because we need to have some type of baseline to figure out where is Nassau. I mean, it's one thing to look at Nassau County, but you have to compare it to other communities to really see, you're ahead, you're behind, or even, what's the whole story. Secondly, we wanted to look at recent development patterns in the county. We wanted to see how much retail, how much office, how much industrial development has actually occurred in this county over the last decade or so. And third, we wanted to look at, use our fiscal impact analysis model to actually determine the net fiscal benefit generated for the county by various land uses. Every single land use generates revenues and expenditures for local government, but they're not all created equal. So we wanted to actually see in this county, what does residential do? What does industrial do? What does commercial do? So that's what we'll talk about this evening. And what we learned, kind of an executive summary, we learned that Nassau County's tax base is much more dependent on its residential tax base than surrounding counties. Counties of a similar size, and Florida as a whole. We also saw pretty anemic growth, actually, in industrial and commercial land use development over the last several years. It was actually non-existent for industrial, pretty weak for office, retail not as bad, but still you would like to see a little more. And basically all of that led to your county commission having to actually increase your taxes. I mean, they really didn't have a choice. You can only cut costs for so long until you actually need a greater amount of revenue. And finally, just highlighted what we found in our fiscal analysis was that in this county, industrial development actually creates about 30 times greater net fiscal benefit to the county than the average single-family house. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, we might go through these kind of quickly because Shannon just did an excellent job talking about some of your budget data. But us, being a third-party consultant, first we had to actually kind of dig in and see what was going on. And I've done a lot of work in Nassau County over the years with various companies, and actually in 07, 08 for Nassau County themselves, and the fiscal sustainability analysis went up with another firm. So I was pretty familiar with you guys. But we would kind of look at it, and this chart right here shows all of your taxing funds. You have general fund, you have your MSTU, you also have your transportation fund. And as you can see, as Bob mentioned earlier, the taxes were pretty steady for quite a while. But then eventually it just became a point where you had to get the red line in 2015 back up to the red line where it was in 2008. And there literally was no other way to really make that happen, but unfortunately to raise taxes, which nobody in this room really wants to do. But you have to pay the bills. Just like a personal budget, the county has to pay their bills as well. And a lot of that really was due to a non-diversified tax base is what we found when we studied your county. Right here, we just look at your general fund. And as you'll see, property taxes currently make up about 81% of total general fund revenues. Again, the red line is the actual general fund revenues, the blue line are the property taxes. And it was somewhere in the 70th percentile for a long time. There again, back in 08, we're at 80-something%. The tax increase that you recently had got us back up to about 81%. I mean, it really took that. I mean, there was a long time when we waited for things to happen, waited for the economic recovery. It did actually occur, but it just wasn't enough to get you back to the level that you needed to be. On this slide, we look at all your taxing funds again, and we look at property tax revenues as a percentage of the governmental fund revenues. And you can see back several years back, it was around 64% of the funds were actually made up of property taxes. Now you're down to about 50-something%. A lot of this does reflect the economy. It didn't quite come back like it should have. But more than anything is that third bullet point actually states your residential property tax collections actually fell by 26% during that time period. your industrial property tax collections only fell like 12% during that time period. It's not just unique for Nassau County, but industrial commercial bases don't necessarily fall as much as the residential property taxes do because there are a lot of tangible property taxes. Industrial bases have a lot of equipment, have a lot of machinery, not just the real estate, not just the building, but the equipment inside. So it doesn't fall quite as rapidly in a real estate-based recession as residential properties do. So finally, we got around and wanted to look at, well, what is the actual percentage that residential, commercial, and industrial actually contribute to Nassau County? And that was kind of an important part of the whole analysis to begin with. And we found out that residential property taxes are around 78% currently of your total tax base. That's down a little bit from 80%, but still, it's pretty much been steady. Your commercial tax base is around 12% right now. That's up a little bit higher than it was in 08, but essentially it's remained pretty steady. And as we're going to find out in the next couple of slides, when we looked at Florida as a whole, when we looked at surrounding counties, when we looked at counties that were of similar population, they were seemingly a lot more diversified. And that's where this slide gets us to. Right here, we look at the state of Florida. 71% of all the property taxes for counties in the state of Florida as a whole come from residential uses. In Nassau County, you're at 78%. In the state of Florida as a whole, commercial and industrial uses are around 19%. In Nassau County, are around 12%. We really weren't that concerned that we saw the difference between 78 and 71. That wasn't that big of a red flag. It was a little concerning, but that was kind of, close enough for government work, if you will. But 12% to 19%, that got us a little curious there. Because we were like, well, that's on a percentage basis, that's actually a pretty big difference right there. And so we wanted to dig a little deeper. So we looked into the counties that surrounded you. And we really weren't surprised about Duval County being at 59%, much bigger, much more industrialized. We looked at Baker County. And we thought to ourselves, well, Baker County, nothing wrong with Baker County, but why are they at 54% and you guys are at 78%? That seemed a little odd. And their industrial and commercial is at 17%, Nassau's at 12%. Clay County is still better than you guys as well. So this made us want to dig even further into the situation because they kind of think, well, maybe there is something going on in Nassau County that needs to be fixed. So we looked at counties across the state that were between 65,000 and 100,000 in population. Basically, somewhat you could consider population relative to Nassau County. And these are all rural counties, and there's nobody in the room that's going to say Columbia, Highlands, and Putnam County are all-star counties. We didn't sit there and compare it against Orange County or Highlands or Dades or anything like that. But these are all rural counties, but every single one of these counties, the property taxes accruing to the county from the residential tax base is in the 50-some-odd percentile. The commercial tax base is much higher as well. This right here was a huge red flag. It was, if these counties can figure it out, why can't Nassau County figure it out? And the most important thing on this chart is Putnam County. You'll see that orange box. 26% of all their property taxes come from tangible property taxes. Where do those come from? They don't come from residential. You don't get taxed on your big screen TV or your furniture. That's only a business thing. Pretty much it's all industrial, with the equipment and heavy machinery used in manufacturing. And fun fact for the night is Putnam County is actually ranked third in the state of Florida as far as having the percentage of their workforce actually engaged in manufacturing activity. I don't know if you've ever been to Putnam County. I've been there. You really have to want to go there. I mean, it doesn't, there isn't, I-95 doesn't run through it. The St. Johns River is what they have. But you just don't accidentally wind up in Putnam County. And I would argue that Nassau County is much better positioned. I-95 dissects through county. You got two ports right around the corner. You're closer to the southeast. Putnam County does have the St. Johns River, I guess, can be used for shipping. But if somebody like a Putnam County, which is a very rural county, can figure out how to diversify the tax base, then I don't understand how other counties can. And I know there are a lot of people in this room tonight that work diligently to do that. And I've worked some in economic development over my years too. And yeah, that's a tough thing.